fun and talk about the book that we're reading currently and what we want to read and life in general. So welcome everybody, and welcome to all of you who are on here with me: Suzanne, Jean, Christina, Linda, and Kathy. Hi everybody. And all of you who are watching us virtually, thank you for being on here. The book that we're currently reading, and today is our last day for talking about this book, is Get the Life You Love and Live It by Arvind Devalia. This book is a workbook, and it's one of those that you're not going to finish it in a week or two or three. It's one of those books that's ongoing. And I was saying to somebody, it's the kind of book that you keep by your bedside. And then when you pick it up, what I do is just turn to a page and I'm like, oh, that's what I need to read right now, or that's what I need to look at. But there's so much good stuff in here for every aspect of our lives. And I just want to ask anybody that wants to share what you're getting from this book. And like I said, it's not one that you're just going to finish and then you're done with it. So how is it helping in your life? And are you finding when you write some of these answers out, maybe you surprise yourself by your answers? Anybody?
I mean, I have to say, it's literally like an instruction manual, which I love. You know, it says ABC. And like last week, the author said, you don't have to give the 10 examples. It's okay if you just do 3. So that took a lot of pressure off me, because this is certainly not a book you quickly, I'm still catching up with it. But I'm looking forward to the next chapters, because it is like, you know, it gives you a little push, do this, do this, do this, and then you can pick and choose. So I like that. For me, that works.
You know, I'd like to go back a little bit to what you wanted to discuss last week was, I think, 14, about excellence.
Mm-hmm.
And how can I explain this? Because I love the books. I had a little trouble with that chapter because of the fact that is something that my father always emphasized, was if you're going to do something, do it perfectly. My German father, Susan, you know, you can't do anything halfway. You have to do it perfect. And I think because of that, it's kind of been almost a problem in my life, because I wanted to do everything perfectly. And, you know, I would have teachers and other people say, why do you have to do everything so much better than anybody else? Why do you have to put that much effort into it? And it's a lot because of my father. So I think when I read that chapter, it was kind of a pull, because I do believe in doing things excellently, you know, but it's also been a stumbling block for me, because being not a real spiritual person all my life, I expect that from everybody else. You know, I kind of say, well, why don't you do it the right way? You know, why don't you just do it the right way? So of all the chapters, you know, I think that's one that I just had a little wrestling with, because I do believe what he's saying. But, you know, since it was so thrown into my face so much when I was young, it was kind of hard for me I wish he were here, you know, like he was last week. And I wish I had talked about it last week. How do you tell the difference between when it's excellent and when you're trying just to be too much of a perfectionist? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. And when we say I'm going to do it perfectly, That's putting a lot of stress on ourselves.
It is.
Yeah.
I think when it
that's
turns
hard.
negative though, like when you can be excellent in a positive way, but then when it turns into the negative for you and it stresses you, that's when it's too much, I would say. It has to feel okay to do it.
Yeah,
Do you procrastinate?
I do, because I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to do the
Do
job
it good enough? Or, yeah.
enough. So I procrastinate. I'll put it off.
Right.
It's like this afternoon, the angels are going to have to help me make cards because I've been procrastinating about making my Christmas cards. And so, they're going to have to help me to make them. But I've been putting it off because of, cleaning and everything. I couldn't devote enough time to doing it. And since I couldn't do it perfectly, I just didn't do it.
I have a different thing with procrastinating, Jean. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but some people work a little bit better under pressure. So I procrastinate usually, and then I do it well later, but it's sort of the same thing. But then that's how I work, I guess. I need that little pressure at the end. So that's
Get a
another.
little. I do both things, and I think with your way, Susan, you get a little adrenaline rush that gives you the energy to get over that, getting to do it. And I used to watch The Fly Lady and get emails every day, and she helps you plan what to do. But she said that procrastination is because you want to do it just right, and that takes more time, and you just want to like do it and get it over with. But then when you started it, the job looks bigger than you think because you want to do each part perfectly. So she says, do it in steps or do it in parts. You don't have to do it all the same day. Or
that's a good idea.
Right.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I like that idea.
That's what Christina does with her cards. She does them in steps, and then when she's ready to do them, she just puts them together. Yeah, that's a good idea, Linda.
But that ties into this book, from make a plan and decide what you want, and build a framework for yourself first.
Yeah.
I think it's chapter 17 where he says like work 15 minutes on it, like just about a little time so it doesn't all build up, which I guess makes sense. Yeah.
It's that chunking out bites here and there, because sometimes it's just incredibly overwhelming for me to look at one great big huge picture too. It can be daunting sometimes. So to kind of take little chunks, little bites at a time. So
I have a perfect example. That's what I do with my fridge, one shelf at a time.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That is a good idea.
Because I hate cleaning the fridge, but if I do one shelf at a time, I'm okay.
That's a good idea.
Can we apply that to other things? Maybe, we don't like to do something like, for me, I hate doing laundry. So if I can do maybe I'll do whites one day, and that's not so overwhelming, So
I
that's
do
a great
everything
idea.
at one time. You guys are really helping me here, which I can thank him for too, because I just do like one big job at one time, and then totally exhausted at the end of doing it. And you guys are helping me a lot.
Another thing, Jean, I want to throw out there what you said at the very beginning with, the perfection and stuff. For me, it's more a motivation of security, I have to say, because I think in my childhood, my parents were there, but I sort of raised myself because they were working all day and I was on my own a lot. And I think so my security pillars are a little bit like make stuff excellent and perfect, because that makes me feel safe and gives me security. That's one thing I have to watch, that I'm not a perfectionist in everything, but it's sort of subconscious that I feel just safe if I do it great. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think that comes from my childhood that I didn't have that.
Yeah, I can understand that in a way, because see, if I didn't do things perfectly, I got punished badly. And so I guess that's why I had a hard time with
Yeah,
it.
that's the negative.
I mean, my dad was, okay, forgive me for saying this I used to have to iron his shorts, his underwear. I mean, that's how he was. I had to iron all the sheets. I had to iron, and nothing could have wrinkles, you know.
Mhm.
I mean, and so I got to where, yes, I got in the habit of having to do everything perfectly, but it really wasn't a reward for me. It was more as a saving from punishment, you know. So, I thought I let go of all this stuff. And then you start reading books like this and you realize that it's still there.
It's still there. And Jean, don't you
follows you.
you think that you could break that cycle of that perfectionist, I have to be perfect? Because perfect it's a judgment. So what is your concept of perfect? It'll be different from, let's say, your father's or somebody else. So go with what you feel is perfect instead of somebody else's ego talking and demanding a certain way that things be done.
And there's some really good ideas out there on YouTube and just how the internet is. And there's a way that you can do like intuitive creating, and it's a practice, much like meditation. It's very tied to meditation. Actually, some people call that a movement meditation.
Mhm.
And what you can do is through you allowing that intuitive creation to come through, and not making judgments. It's like you get practiced into allowing that space in your life again. And so when I say intuitive, what does that mean? So like for an example would be, let's say I'm collaging right now some of my own cards for like intuitive cards for myself, not to read anybody else, but just for me. They're going to be customized. So what I'm doing is going through first, just like magazines that I just couldn't throw away because it had beautiful pictures in it, or somebody's card that I saved for years, or a picture from who knows where that I just fell in love with and couldn't, for whatever reason, I couldn't get rid of it. Well, so those are the kinds of things I flip through a magazine and just pull out whatever I'm drawn to in that moment without thinking. When I mean flipping through the book, I mean flip through that magazine. Don't think about it. Don't look at the words. Just start by grabbing what you're drawn to. And I mean, and it should be just a rip out the pages. Don't think of it any longer than that. That kind of helps you, though. It's like an exercise where instead of exercising your body, you're exercising that allowance in space, and it allows you to grow that space so that you can allow more in. It's fun.
Yes.
And you're also making choices when you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Jean, I would say when you decide what your steps are, give yourself a little reward. That's okay. Like,
too. Yeah, he said
like,
that.
yeah. Suzanne said, do something for 15 minutes. I'm saying maybe 30, and then read a chapter of the book that we're doing.
Yeah.
So your mind changes, or do something active,
I like Suzanne's idea of saying that I'm doing something to what I consider my excellence, not perfection. Just, do it to a level of excellence that I'm happy with, and then let it go. I think that's right. But this is why you don't let me talk, because then we all talk about me. Let's talk about something else now.
Not all of us. Yeah, this is for all of us. Because I
It's
think
helping me too.
we all hold ourselves to a certain level of perfection and excellence. I love what Marietta's watching us virtually. And she says, what is excellent may be based on judgment from the ego mind, from the perspective of spirit, it is already perfect. Remember,
Yes.
everything is working perfectly.
Yeah.
Now,
You know,
isn't it progress, not perfection?
Mhm.
Isn't
Yes,
that what
that's what he said.
strive for?
Yeah,
Always?
what is that Japanese word he used? Couldn't pronounce it. Began with a K.
Kaizen, something like that, Kaizen, yeah, in
Right.
that
And-
direction.
Practice of progress, that you're going to progress, and that was real beneficial for me to hear that. I think that's great.
and that word perceptions is coming back up again. I know it's been coming up in some other discussions recently. And so it just brings it back to, it's our perception. What is normal? What is normal? Our perceptions are what creates the normal. You know, so
And
if-
who sets the standard, right?
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's usually us anyways, and we're setting it way too high.
We're our own worst critic, that saying. There's a fair amount of truth to some of those old sayings, and that's one of them.
It's so funny. Yesterday with getting ready for the angels, I was fussing about cleaning that house, and I thought like, oh my gosh. And then I thought like, oh, it said if it's good enough for visit, right? And that's what I envisioned. I was like, if I had somebody coming over like Terry, you know how clean it was. And then when I was done with that, I felt peace. I was like, okay, that's good enough. Otherwise, I would have driven myself nuts to have a clean house for the angels. And I just had to let that go and say, "Oh, if it's good enough for visitors, human visitors, it's good enough for the angels." So I was okay.
I was the opposite. Clean the top shelf.
And you weren't going to clean that top shelf for me.
But I knew Terry wouldn't look up there because she's too short. But for the angels, I cleaned it. See,
Kathy, we were
All of
Kathy, we were
today.
supporting each other, right? Kathy, we were texting.
Yeah,
Oh,
Suzanne and I were
Before.
texting.
Yeah, like, you ready? Yeah.
Ready as I'm gonna be. Yeah, there's no way for me to clean this room because of the carpet, like I told you guys with my wonderful diabetic dog.
Oh,
I can't keep up with it. So, you know, the angels are just gonna have to deal, and they know what
Oh,
I deal
they
with
will.
her.
I was
so-
gonna say, my angels know what's going on.
They know what's
You're
going
gonna get
Oh.
dog fur and cat fur all over you because there's
Yes.
just no way for me. I mean, there's just
Yep.
this is it. And if I'm truly inviting friends into my home, true friends, they're gonna overlook a
They
few
do.
things for me because they're my friend.
Yeah.
that's what
They know
Terry's
we're
doing.
working on it. My friends, my family know that we want to get a new floor in here. It's just a matter of timing, and you know, we do have the money now, which is a blessing. Thankfully. But it's just the timing, and do we want to do part of it ourselves? You know, my husband's like, maybe I can cut the carpet apart and at least get it out of here, and then have them come and just lay the floor down. So, you know, it's all we're procrastinating on how we want to do it.
Process.
Yeah, but sometimes there's a reason for that delay. Sometimes it needs to be in perfect and divine time and not in what we would consider to be the perfect time.
That's true, Terry.
Yeah.
That's-
We have someone on with us virtually, Mary Lou Burdick, who
Oh,
is-
that's my Aunt Mary Lou.
Oh my God.
I
She
love
says,
you.
She says, I think I need to join the book club. Absolutely.
Yes.
Come in
Do
and join us. Because
Do it.
I love the words, quote, "For to those who love God, who are called in his plan, everything works out for the good." We're talking about striving for excellence. Yeah. We already are perfect in God's eyes. It's us, our human ego, that says it has to be this way, right?
That's true.
And she says, thank you and hi. Yeah, thank you that she's there. Oh, I love her energy.
She's awesome. Mhm.
And Isabel's watching with us too.
Hi,
Isabel, I don't know
Isabel.
why you're not on here.
Right.
I think one thing, what I can summarize about the book, what was really interesting when Arvind was with us last week was, I didn't realize that he says first you build a foundation, you know, how it was structured.
Right.
And I did like that. That was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So I appreciate that he said that and I can follow that now. And at the end, I guess you get the tips to build on that foundation. So
Mhm.
that was neat. I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. And I love that he has like something for every part of your life. And he
Mhm.
included not just, you know, people who are in relationships, but also those of us who are single. And I was reading through, and I didn't write out all of my answers with the exercises, but there was some of it that I looked at. And this one question, if you are single, write down 5 activities that you have putting off until you're in a relationship. I don't put anything off. I just live life and enjoy life. And I think that's a good point too. We don't have to be in a relationship to enjoy the things that people in a relationship enjoy. You know, I take myself to the movies. Well, I don't now because we can't do that. But before we had this shutdown and lockdown, I would take myself to the movies. I would take myself out to eat. So I love that that he included things where it made us think. You know, it made us think about whatever it was, relationship, finances, you know, whatever, that we could really look at our life and say, oh, yeah, well, I do that, or no, I don't do that. So it was a really good exercise to say, okay, where am I at? You know, where am I at with this part of my life? So I enjoyed that. That chapter was really good for me.
That was good.
I like the one about building your relationship. That
Mhm.
I have to be honest, I skipped the one about being single
Well, that's okay.
because I didn't think it would apply. So I went to the straight to the relationship one, and I really enjoyed that. And it's true. But see, a lot of that had to do with my perfectionism. So now I'm you know, really, I've been terrible. I've been terrible. No, I have.
I think so.
Okay, we were cleaning for the angels, and my husband was moving the table, and he accidentally knocked over my favorite vase and broke it. And I went in the kitchen and said a bad word. And I haven't done that in a long time. And I said it repeatedly, you know.
But did it feel good?
And he came in and he, you know, he was hurt that I said the bad word. And I said, he said, you think I'm stupid? This is what he said. And I says, honey, I don't think you're stupid. I think sometimes you're careless. And that was a hurtful thing for me to say. So he went on to take a nap, which he does at that time. And so I continued cleaning and I moved the other table and I knocked over a glove that I loved that he had given me for an anniversary and broke it to smithereens. And all I heard from the angels was karma.
Oh,
And when he got up, I took him and I apologized to him and I told him what happened and that I had had my lesson and I was really sorry. And that's how bad I've been. Okay. I have to get, you know, corrected, but it's okay now. And then I read his chapter. So now I'm bitter. So, yeah.
Well, I don't think you're bad at all, Jean. You're living a human experience and things happen. Be more gentle with yourself. Okay, be gentle with you. And you know, we say bad things. We say bad words, and we exhale and let things out. You, at least you didn't push it down inside and repress it and hold it in there where all the anger could build. You let it out and you were able to work through that. That's progress. It's
Yeah.
progress, my friend.
Very good lesson, let me tell you.
And I think it was important that you went back to your husband and
Yes.
said, oops, look at
sorry.
what I did. So you didn't just leave it, you know, with a bad feeling, but more, you know, because we do have to live with each other. And it's good. It's good. Sometimes I think we
Oh,
forget.
good. You're
Right.
such a good person.
I
you
think
know.
that was the lesson for you, was to be able to apologize and make up afterwards, you know.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
that's a big deal. I have a story when I was in Germany. It was so funny. My oldest sister, I was driving and she has to be the old sister and always tell me stuff. And then at one point, and I just bit my tongue, I didn't say anything, you know. And then at one point she was like, turn your high beams down, there's traffic coming. And I said to her, would you be quiet now and stop telling me how to drive? And then she was totally offended. And 5 minutes later, we bursted out laughing. We were both laughing that we were at odds for a few minutes. And it was so nice to be able to laugh about it and make up and continue completely normal and not hold a grudge or anything. And that was with my sister, for me, a lesson learned, because I avoid conflict, absolutely, especially in my family. And it was a big deal to be okay afterwards. That was a lesson.
Oh, goodness. Boy, I don't have a psychologist. I have a book club. So
Yeah, those life lessons, that's how we get our spiritual growth, you know, through the things that happen to us and how we respond and react. And we're always learning. And the more tools we have, and this is a tool, this book is a tool for us.
it is. It
So the
is.
more tools we have, then we're going to make different choices going forward when something comes up like that.
Mhm.
And I was just gonna say, even though there's a separate singles chapter, I think there's lessons in there
Mhm.
for everyone, because
Yeah.
maybe you've gotten into a relationship or a marriage that you didn't really come to terms with things with yourself and how you're going to live your relationship with yourself first. And so I think it's just really important for people to do that and to be able to know that if they are alone physically without somebody with them, that they don't need that they have other things to fall back on. And so, and like I said, I know of people who got married very young and just never really went through that life experience. And so for them to use that chapter to kind of you know, be okay with doing things by themselves and in a different way without in any relationship. I don't know how you feel, Dean, but I know I need my space and my own things. That it may not, I enjoy traveling with my husband and doing a lot of things with my husband. We're lucky that way. But at the same time, there are times I need to have my own interests and my own, because I'm my own person. And so I found that even for married people, just to kind of remind yourself that you are your own person and not just part of this dual couple of the, you know, a pair. You're yourself.
Very true. That's very true.
I found
And
that.
I'm very blessed. It lets me pursue my own interests.
Mhm. Without guilt.
Yeah.
Without guilt, because there's reasons why we have our own interests and aren't the same.
Absolutely. You know.
Yeah.
Well, like honestly, this, you know, I mean, he realizes this is really good for me. And he's after me about, you know, isn't today book club? Yes. He says, did you read? I says, I'm behind. I've got to catch up. I don't want no letter from the teacher saying that you're So he's very supportive of what I do. I just wish he would share a little bit more interest in it because it would be good for him. But he's a good person in his own right, so in his time he'll find it in his divine time.
In his own way too,
In his own way.
yeah.
I just chiming in on that, Jean, because it sounds like you have a similar relationship to me and my husband. Like I married him when I was 21, and I've been dating him. I was 14 when I met him, and dated pretty much throughout high school. I mean, we'd break up here and there, but we got back together and all that. Then he moved away to Maryland, and I was still in Pittsburgh, PA. Then I came down and we got married, and now I'm here in Maryland. Anyway, for too long, but someday we'll move south. But anyway, it was always I enjoyed being on motorcycle with him. I enjoyed when he took up racing. I was right there. I was a pit crew. I was there for him, for support, for everything. I never really did have much of my own except my work. I worked in a laboratory since I was 21. So I mean, it's only now that I'm finding that I have other interests. But I have to say, last night, I mean, he knows about me hosting the angels and whatever, and he actually put in 3 wishes in the envelope, and he actually opened the door with me last night to let the angels in.
Oh, how nice.
That's
Huge.
amazing.
That's huge.
That is huge. Oh, yeah, that is so cool.
Yeah. So I'm really blessed, probably more than I realize. Because I mean, we've had differences and we've had our problems and our ups and downs and whatever, but I think through me finding all of you guys and me finding love for myself and peace, that I'm actually really rubbing off on, I know I'm on him, and hopefully I can get to my son too somehow. Still working on that one. He's a tough one.
Yeah.
It will, by just setting the example of love. It'll get to him. Just be who you are, Kathy. That's all you need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're teaching by example.
So you have the angels with you, Kathy, now?
Yes.
And
My
you have,
candles over there, my candles lit.
I thought I was sending them to you after they left here.
Maybe that's Catherine.
And
Catherine.
no, to Susan. I thought I was sending them. Are you having them back?
Some people
We
are
have them
doing
now. We got them
some
last
people are
night.
doing them twice.
I happened the first time. This is
Maybe
my
that's
first
what-
time.
I think that's where Charlie said I was having them back to back. I think it's Susan who's having them back to back.
Jean, I have you on the list too. You're going to have them
Yeah.
over Christmas because I'm going to be there with you.
Okay. I'm so confused. You know what? I've decided that pretty much they're here all the time.
They are there all the time.
They're just a little bit more intense right now, but pretty much they're here all the time.
Yeah.
But
well, the whole idea of the ritual is for you to be more focused on them. They're there all the time. But when we do this ritual, it's to help us focus on their energy and really sit with them and get answers and inspiration and blessings from them.
Isn't that funny? That's exactly what my husband and daughter said. They're here all the time. And my husband was like, they're omnipresent. And I'm like, yeah, okay, doesn't matter. I'm still gonna do this. And then everybody was snoozing and out except for Luna. She was sitting there alert. She was the only dog up in expectation. So that was interesting. The other 3 dogs were sleeping. But Luna, she is special. I think she sensed something when they came last night.
She is
You
a
can see
special.
it. You can see it in her eyes. I told you, she has such expression. One way when she was looking at you funny like that.
She is like Stacy's cat, just as a dog.
They have the same name.
Luna. Woo.
That's so cool.
Ah,
Yeah.
But I've had 3 miracles, already today.
did
Wait.
you?
They're just little tiny things, but we had to go take our car into the shop. So we had to go pick up my daughter's car. And when we came out of the building, all these balloons went up. I have no idea where they came from, but they were just so pretty and they went up. And then I got on Yarborough, which is a really, really long street. I got every green light. I couldn't believe it. I mean, every green light. And then
Sometimes it's the little things.
It is.
dropped off the car. We went to the bakery. And I told him, he says, what do you want? I says, well, could you get me a pretzel? The German pretzels, okay? And I said, you could get about 7 of them because the angels could have one too. And he looked at me and I says, well, you can't help a girl for trying, He went into the bakery and he came out with his bag, with his croissant, and I got a chocolate eclair, I have to be honest, and a pretzel bag. And when I looked in the pretzel bag, when we got home, there were 2 pretzels. He says, I only bought 1. I said, well, there's 2. He says, where's the receipt? I know I only bought 1. I said, it's for the angels. So to me, that's
I love that. Well, Linda uses the angels to find parking places. She has her parking angels, and every time I've been with her and we go to park somewhere, she's like, okay, the angels are going to find this place and it's going to be perfect. And it always is, isn't it, Linda?
wow.
It is. I went to Washington, D.C. several years ago with my husband. We stayed like 10 miles away and drove in each day. And I was a little bit late, so we got there at 10:30, like every day. And he said, we'll never find a parking place. I said, no, don't say never. And I said, I already have one waiting for me. And he said, where is it? And I said, it's in front of the Smithsonian building, the one that looks like the castle.
Mhm.
So I drove up there and somebody moves and I pulled in. I said, told you. Then I was told not to say that because it's rubbing it in. But but every day, it was like a week, and every day he'd say, we're never going to find a parking place. And I'd say, well, I'm working on it. So we'd pull up in front of the Smithsonian within a block the whole week. And,
Wow.
that time of day, it's almost impossible to find any parking anywhere. So it was a whole week, and I just planned on pulling in. And I do that at the grocery store, and I do that at Costco. Doesn't work quite as well, but most anywhere. And today I was late to Terry's, and I said, sorry, I got red lights. Like, how did that happen?
Because Jean got all the green ones.
I know. I
It has
usually
to be
get green.
balanced.
Yeah, I usually get
Maybe
green.
you needed to be slowed down for some reason.
That could be. Yeah, I believe in that.
Yeah.
And then I missed her house. I've been there several times. I drove past it saying, that doesn't look right. So I had to turn around and come back. So I don't know what that was.
I
But
did the parking thing too. I have to say for years. And a lot of times I forget it, but one situation I had, it was a very busy multiple doctor's offices type of thing. And at that time, you really don't get parking. And I did the same. I said, angels, please provide me with a parking. And I came and I found a parking spot. I was like, thank you. So yeah, it really works.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought this morning, I said, you know, this is the first time I've left the house without invoking the shield of Michael. Then I says, well, he's in the car with me, so I told him, come on, we're gonna go get the car. So
That's what I do. When I take them when I go somewhere, I'm like, all right, angels, we're going for a ride. Come on, pile in.
I'm beginning
wait.
to think, my angels want me to walk more. I don't get parking places like that. So maybe they're telling me you need to walk a little more, honey.
That's
I don't
funny.
know if they're too happy about my driving, to be honest with you. So,
We had this awesome pink sunrise, which I honestly haven't seen before. I opened the blinds and I seen already the sunrise, it was pink, but then where it shone on, it was all this real pink. Everything was pink, and I thought that was cool. I was like, oh, thank you. That was special this morning.
little miracles. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I can't wait to take them to work with me tomorrow.
Oh, yes, Kathy. Oh, I got chills. That's going to be awesome.
Should be interesting.
I
Yeah.
should take the rest of my GEDs real quick while they're here, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Wow.
Oh, well, we're having fun. So.
We are having fun. And we talked last week about maybe reading some of those inspirational writings that Arvind included at the end of the book. Did anybody have one that really stood out for you? Any of those the quotes that he put in and writings from other people? I love all of them.
Well,
Yeah.
they're all good.
I mean, I like the Desiderata. That was one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
That is a favorite.
Yeah.
Oh, we talked about that. And then when we were done, I drove up to our local shopping center to mail something. And it was on the front of a coffee shop. Like
Desiderata.
3 by 4 feet. The same poem was
Wow.
on the coffee shop.
I love that poem. I think we should end the show today with that poem. But are there any of the other readings that you all like? That anybody want to read some of what was written or what was included in the book? I love the one "Our Light" by Marianne Williamson. Would somebody like to read that one?
Did you know that she was running for president?
She did run for president.
Yeah, she had been. But
Yeah, she's a beautiful lady. I've seen her. I've seen her up on stage, and she's amazing.
yeah, she is. And she does a Course in Miracles.
I know.
Wonderful. I can read that if you would like me to.
Please.
Our light. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be so brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are we not to be? You are a child of the universe. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There is nothing enlightening about shrinking so that others will feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We are born to manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our fears, our presence automatically liberates each other. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I love that book that it comes from, Return to Love.
Return to Love.
Return to Love. And, you know, when I saw her, it was 4 years ago, I think, in Salt Lake City. And I took that book with me because I wanted to get her to sign it for me. But she had another appointment right after she spoke at our event, and she had to rush off to the airport. So I didn't get a chance to talk to her or to get her to sign the book. But I'll never forget her energy and just the love that comes from her. She's very beautiful. And if you haven't read that book, the whole book is like that. It's just inspiration. And yeah, I highly
The
suggest.
first two lines is what I've always loved.
Yeah.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. This fear is that we are powerful beyond measure.
Yeah. And I love also when she says, who are we not to be? You know, and there were times when I would ask the angels, like, you know, why am I chosen to do this? Like, why am I given this, whatever it is? And they're like, well, why not? Why not you? And I think we can all relate to that. And we can all, when we're feeling like, I don't think I'm good enough for this, they're going to share with us, yes, you are. Why are you thinking that? You are. All of us, every one of us are worthy of whatever we're inspired with, whatever we speak, when we open our mouths. We're all worthy of this exact same things in life. There's nobody more special, nobody less special. We're all worthy and deserving of everything in our life that's good. So, anybody want to read anything else from the inspirational words? I'm just looking at the time. Would anyone like to read the Desiderata poem? Any volunteers?
You should. I think you should.
You think I should? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't have a problem reading it. I wanted to offer if anybody else wanted to read it.
I'm like the kid in the back of the room
I see
trying
you
so
thinking. I will read it. I don't
I
have a
don't have
problem
my
with
book in
that.
front of me, so
I like to share. I like
I
to
don't
share.
either.
like
But
the
before-
dog ate my homework. Sorry.
Right. Before I do that, because we will end the show with that, and then we have to get off of the channel. I just want to thank all of you ladies. I love you so much, and thank you for supporting the book club, for being excited about how we run it. You know, it's ours. It's not mine. It's our book club. And I really appreciate all of you coming on and sharing your thoughts and your feelings and what you get from the books, or, you know, if you don't like a book, then say that too. But I love having it open to where we agree on what we're going to look at next and what we're going to study. And the next one that we're doing, I'm excited about reading this book together as a group. I love it myself. I found it, I think a couple of months ago, I found the book. It's called, thank you, Jean, Walking with My Angels by Keith Leon S.
Got
And
it.
Keith will actually be with us next week to discuss the book and to answer questions. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I do.
I always miss the authors. I'm always working.
You won't be here next week. Oh, Kathy, I wish you were here.
No,
Well,
we're
if-
still flipping days like that where, you know, I'll work Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then the next week I work Tuesday and Thursday.
right.
So this is my Tuesday, Thursday week.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
actually
Kathy,
working
if you-
Saturday this week.
Okay, if you have anything that you would like to ask him about, or any questions about the book or anything, just let us know and we'll bring it up to him, okay?
Sure thing. I already started it. I started reading it
Yeah.
because
love-
I didn't get into this past workbook that well because at that time we were really busy at work, and I'm still trying to work on, you know, my stuff, which is in no order
yeah.
at all, except
We'll get
by
organized.
date. We'll get it, yeah, sooner or later.
All right,
Um,
so,
yeah, so I
so
did,
let us know.
I did start that one though. I said,
Okay.
I'm gonna read this for sure. I'm
Awesome.
reading it along with Green Lights, the
Hmm.
Matthew McConaughey book.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I
How
love
is that?
Oh, it's great. I love
Oh.
it. Both books right now are like, I'd like to just go and read them now, but I have to get back to work.
Right. Okay. And then if you all have other suggestions for books for us, just throw it out there and we'll see what sticks. All right. So I'm going to read Desiderata and then we will go off the air. I want to thank all of you for being here today and all of you who are in the audience. And Mary Lou says, I have Desiderata in my craft room. I love that. I love this poem. When I was much younger, in the olden days, TV wasn't on the air 24 hours a day. And when they would go off the air, this is the poem that was read. And so it has a meaning to me because I fell in love with it way back then when I first heard it.
Huh.
Go placidly among the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others. Even the dull and the ignorant, they too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroisms. Be yourself, especially do not feign affection, neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly to the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden miscomfort. But do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here, and whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be, and whatever your labors and aspirations, in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace with your soul. With all of its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful and strive to be happy. That was written by Max Ehrman. And thank you, Arvind, for including that in your beautiful book, Get the Life You Love and Live It. Blessings to all of you. We love you. And we'll be back next week, 1 o'clock Eastern. Bye, everybody.
Mary Lou, come see us next week and join in with us.
Yes.
Or
and
you could take my
Isabel.
place, Mary Lou.
Okay. We'll see you all later. And stay
Okay.
Bye.
here for the meditation coming up with Kevin Morris. That's up next. Bye, everybody.